Yeah, because this is what's happened, hasn't it? He's come back and he's been dominant and he's been, as you said, world class. And I think we've got to remember he's still very young, and maybe the odd kind of 80 minutes or the odd early finish might help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He probably should get taken off in a game or two, somewhere along the way. And it's not like their back row isn't performing well enough anyway. Swap Jack Hughes over to there when Murdoch Masila comes on, rather than putting Jack Hughes at loose forward, is another option to spell him. It's just they've needed him to get through some of these close threatened comebacks at Warrington are sort of experienced moment. But they are good enough and doing enough to win. And for the first 45 minutes of this game, they were so good that I wouldn't be hugely worried as a Warrington fan about the switching off, because I think the switching off won't come. I don't know why I think this, because they've switched off in important games from the start, haven't they, rather than as they've gone along over years past. But I just think, don't worry too much. Danny Bruff's missed goal, by the way. I wasn't 100%. Like, I wasn't sat there thinking this is definitely going over.
No, God, it was probably 2 or 3 meters from the touchline. It wasn't 100%. It wasn't banging front, was it?
You talk about bottle jobs. Well, this is the guy who's lost his head so many times for his team's cause that I don't know I can rely on when the grind and when the crunch comes to it personally. So I wasn't thinking it was nailed on like some of those other people were, but it made for excitement. And yes, it would have been nice to see a Golden Point game on TV, I think, at this stage. I think we're geared up for it, and we're not quite getting it yet.
We're due one, aren't we?
Well, yeah. Let's move on to a game that never looked like it was going to be a Golden Point game. Billed as classy cast versus the entertainers. It turned out that there was only one side showing any sort of class and entertainment. Alan, do you want to take us through this one?
I certainly was, yeah. So this one finished Castleford 12, St Helens 42, in possibly the least representative scoreline of the week. It was 18-0 to St Helens at half-time. Just over 8,042 were there, and James Child in the singular was the man in charge. In terms of statistics, Saints had a lot more ball than Cass and took full advantage. 50 more carries, 4 more breaks, 6 more tries, and over 500 more metres. This game had the most offloads, 47, and clean breaks, 26, than any other so far this year, although I don't want to guess what the breakdown was between the two teams. In terms of the winners, Johnny Lomax, 1 try, 1 try assist, 2 clean breaks, 6 tackle busts, 217 metres. That's going at some, is that? Zeb Taylor says 1 try, 3 clean breaks, 4 offloads, 6 tackle busts, and 143 metres. Mark Percival, 1 try, 2 try assists, 139 metres. And Lachlan Coote, 1 try, 1 try assist, 2 clean breaks, 5 tackle busts, and 113 metres.
I must say, I probably made a mistake here not putting Johnny Lomax as the stat line of the week, but we'll say there's 2. We'll say he shares it with the man who I've put down as that later on.
There's just too many.
Yeah.
For the losing Cass, Michael Shenton had a try, 4 clean breaks, and 154 metres. Liam Watts did a lot of defensive work with 40 tackles, as did Ollie Holmes with 42. And Jake Truman had a try and 5 tackle busts.
The first fan review came in from Paul O'Brien, POB1976 on Twitter. He said, Saints far too good tonight. Castleford just never got going and made too many mistakes.
Yeah. Carsten, second this time, Carsten. Not good enough. Damn Cascott bent over. Highlight of the game was Daryl Powell's run over the field before half term. It wasn't a run. It was a prowl. It was a prowl. Can't imagine what he said to Michael Shenton, though. Probably not repeatable.
I don't think it was Shenton who was aiming it at. I think it was Greg Eden, who we move on to here. Tom Andrews saying, Greg Eden being Greg Eden, the best team in the comp showing why, and a try so offside Jordan Tansey was complaining. Good old reference, Tom. Love that one. I don't know who Powell thinks he is, though. Waltzing across the pitch in the middle of the game. Get back in your box, you angry man.
He's an angry man. I can understand why, quite frankly. Frogmore. I've got to do this in an Aussie accent. Jesus, okay. I guess we can put the Rugby versus McShine thing to bed now.
That wasn't bad. Yeah. I mean, it was a little
Thanks
bit.
Very much.
Yeah. I'm on board with that.
And see, what I don't know is if I'm not sure of the accent of what's it called?
Tasmania.
I don't know if that's a Tassie accent or whether that's just an exaggeration. You'll have to get back to us, Frogboy.
Sounds a bit more Melburnian, I don't know. But what I would say, as I've always said on this show, there's only one word we can all faultlessly pronounce in Australian tongue, thanks to when Emma pointed this out a number of years ago, and it's beard room. Because if you just say beard room rather than bedroom, you've nailed it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
St David said, big statement performance by the Saints. The attacking spine of Coote, Lomax, Farge and Roby really clicked in this one, running the Tigers ragged. But defence is the key to this team. To restrict that pack to so few metres on such a small pitch was amazing, though no doubt Saints benefited from an extra 3 days rest onwards.
Yeah, I'd say a metre's the same no matter how big the pitch is, but yeah, I get his point.
I think he means restricting them from getting into good yardage rather than, attacking positions, I suppose, rather than total metres made. But they did both in this game, so well done.
Yeah, I was going to say, whenever they got some position, they just dropped the lollies, didn't they? So Fat Boy says...
They didn't be in position to do that. They could do that in front of
the that's true. Well. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm going to give this its full focus. So the reigning champ gave the 2017 champ a real shoeing. Too many missed tackles, dropped ball, and poor decisions cost us. People will point the finger at Super League's best winger, but in reality, he only made 3 mistakes, which led to tries. The defence on the other wing was non-existent. Shenton outpaced Regan Grace to score the try of the match. He was totally onside. He was about 5 metres offside, but anyway. Onwards to Thursday. Beware a wounded tiger. Well, you can't get much worse, Rob.
I just don't. Yeah, he knows. He's well aware. I just don't know. Could James Chard just not be arsed at that stage? What was the scoreline at that stage? Let's have a look. It was 32-0. Could he just not be arsed blowing the whistle? Because even Michael Shenton almost stopped, assuming the whistle had gone.
He totally stopped. It was almost like a moment of regret, like I'm gonna have to try and go the length of the pitch here. I'm too old for this. But yeah, no, it was quality.
That and the Daryl Prowl moment were enjoyable. Rob touched on actually one thing I would say about this game, because I know it's mostly you to cover off this one, but one thing Rob touched on there is, yes, Cass's mistakes did tend to come sort of on the middle towards their left edge, but Cass's left edge, that is, but their right edge defence was so porous in this game. Not at all. You can't say that wasn't countered by brilliant attacking play. Mark Percival having his best game of the season so far, and Johnny Lomax continuing where he's played the way he's played the last couple of weeks. But that right edge defence for Cass, lots of gaps, consistently out of position. So the errors might have come on the other side, but then the pressure from those errors certainly told on the right side defence. Phil Nadin said Cass was just outplayed all over the park. Cass didn't help themselves with all the handling errors and bad passes. God help FC when we have to play Saints.
And finally, Tim G says, turnstile cheeks become turnstile defence. Ollie Holmes. There you go. Very good. Ollie Holmes' defence mostly laughable. He made 42 tackles. I don't know how many misses he made, actually, thinking about it. 5 misses, according to this.
Yeah.
Greg Eden is most Greg Eden. Well, you would say that. Regan Grace, again, brilliant. Well, you'd say that again. Although it might need longer studs for the Great Britain tour. #, Regan Grace for GB.
It was a nice finish off that set play try, wasn't it?
I was going to say, that's... that's probably my try of the round, actually, just because it was beautiful structure and perfectly executed. On this one, you can't really pick a hole. Ironically, you can't pick a hole in the Cass defence for this one. It was just great structure. Whereas with some of the other ones, you can pick out individual errors. For me, this was the best sweeping move of probably the round.
It was played to perfection,
it was a good finish.
It meant, Cass couldn't be a yard out of position or a foot out of position even. That's how precise it was played. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. I mean, to me, I think it was probably Cass at their worst against Saints at near their best. Obviously, there were, what was it? I think I'm looking here, 5 out of 9 goals. So it should have probably been 50. I mean, for me, it seemed like for every kind of cast ball that ended up on the floor, it went to a Saints player.
Yeah.
Whereas the other way around, it kind of just, they just didn't seem to get the run of the ball. I mean, I'm not wanting to cover up from them because they were shite, but they didn't. The flow of the ball didn't kind of go with them either. And yeah, I think for me the worry is, are St Helens playing too well at this stage of the season? It's a weird thing to say, but.
Do you mean because of what happened last year?
I just mean it's a long season and we're only 7 rounds in, are we? So,
but Saints' attack wasn't really firing until the second half against Huddersfield. They weren't throwing up the points this year till that stage, and the second half against Huddersfield and the first half against kind of the whole game, I suppose, against Cass, they have fired, but they weren't scoring tons of tries in the first few games. Like David said, it's been built on defence up to now.
Built on defence, yeah.
I don't think they're playing too well. I think I do think they're playing too well, but not in the way that you mean.
There's just something in the back of my head that they've got this scar tissue about kind of getting towards the end of the year, getting towards the business end of the season, and it's just about pacing yourself. That's all that I'd be slightly worried about. But yeah, you can't ultimately you can't argue with the way that they gave Cass a proper shoeing, and they
could have played half as well in this game and still won. But Cass could have played twice as well in the way Saints played. Cass could have played twice as well and still not won. It's one of those situations, isn't it, where one team was, like you say, almost at their best, and one team was almost at their worst.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously he wasn't in the stat lineup in terms of his numbers or anything, but I thought Peru had a good game for me. I thought he was kind of looked quite dangerous, and that's not something you can always say about him, frankly. So yeah, I was quite impressed with him. But yeah, I mean, you can't really look.
He scored a try with really good footwork in the. Yeah. I can't remember which one of his tries, but one of his tries impressed me.
Yeah, no, he looked good for me. Yeah, I mean the pivots in terms of Coote and Lomax and Roby, yeah, same old, just very consistent and very difficult to stop. Quite frankly.
It's one of those games where being 8.5 or 9 out of 10 probably wasn't good enough to get you in the Banner Steel vote, because that's how good some of the other players around him, like Lomax and I think Percival as well, were in this game. Yeah, you could basically sit here and name almost the entire Saints side, apart from maybe Nguama and Makinson, who were a little bit quiet on that side because all the scores were made down the other side. Yeah. What about?
Yeah, go on.
So the best try for you was the scrum try. Was there anything else that you saw as a highlight? Did you want to talk a bit more about Daryl's prowl, as you called it before?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. I mean, they explained on the commentary that obviously he sits in the side opposite, doesn't he? Yeah. The Jack Fulton stand, as I call it.
Basically in the gantry, isn't he?
In the gantry, yeah.
And then has to get back across the pitch at some point, but I didn't know
which
he could
is
do
fine.
It during the game.
Well, yeah, and to do it when there's a break in play is probably right. But what he was doing, wandering across the pitch, giving dirty looks to his players, I've no idea.
I think dirty looks and filthy words.
Yeah, well, quite, yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's funny, but it's a bit of a distraction, isn't it, from the fact that Cass were nowhere in this one, and it's a bit. It's a bit weird. It wasn't what I was expecting when I tuned in, that's for certain.
Yeah, we all sort of thought it might be a closer game. If you haven't got anything more on that, let's move on to another game that I think we all probably thought would be a closer game than it ended up being on Friday night. which was the Huddersfield Giants hosting hulking